The president is reducing CSS into political errand boys. And then he centralizes government at State House. And, we have seen this. I've talked to senior CSS and former CSS who say you can sit with the president and he goes through the motions of pretending to be listening to you, and you can even agree with him about what should be done. The minute you get into your office, there's a phone call from the head of public service telling you the opposite of what you discussed with the president. So there's a futility of your advice in the running of government. So the easier part is to be sent on the errands that are being sent to go and talk politics on behalf of the president. It's totally uncalled for. He has even taken it to speakers. The Speaker of Senate was talking this nonsense at the cost. The Speaker of the House has become such an errand boy on politics, distributing Ruto money in Western Kenya. This is where we have come.
This is what we've...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, guys, for your greatest support. Now, fellow Kenyans, I won't lie. Personally, for the first time in a very long time, I've had a debate or a panel with the reasoning people. Yesterday night was, of course, JK Live. And I really loved the way Jeff handled, or the way the conversation was handled yesterday night between Koinange Kibicho. Remember, Koinange Kibicho served as a PS under PS of Interior under Fred Matiang'i during the time of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And of course, remember that issue of River Yala and all that. By that time, Koinange Kibicho was the PS. Right now, the office is being held by Raymond Omolo. And also, we had got Mukisa Kitui. A lot of issues happened. A lot of things were discussed by these guys. And I want you to listen to their discussion. It is something that you don't listen to it with a lot of emotions. If you listen to these conversations with a lot of emotions, then you're not going to get the point. I've really listened to it times and numbers. Nimeisikiza, nimerudia kuisikiza, and that is why I've decided also to do this video so that you can also listen. In case you missed it yesterday night, you can listen to some of the things that these guys talked about. But before that, to the Bonita media community and family, guys, we have an announcement to make. And please, this is an announcement, listen to it, and then you're back on our discussion.
To the Bonita media community and family, fellow Kenyans, we have a project here. Actually, it's a very painful story, but I will request all of us, if you're watching and you are willing to help, I would like us to come together to at least help this family. They really need help. They've been struggling. They've been in pain for a very long time.
Sasa yale napitia ni mtoto wangu, mkubwa.
Ndiye first born, eh?
Ako na watoto wawili. Lakini hajifanyiangi chochote, ni kuanguka tu. Na saizi hata sahi vile tunasikianga wanaume pia ni wakudanganya watu. Ako na katoto saizi kachanga.
Mtoto mdogo
Kabisa, kama miezi. Na unaona huyo mtoto hakuna kitu anaweza mfanyia. Hata umwache hapa kwa nyumba, hawezi akapea mtoto chakula, jua na shake nini?
Mwili.
Utamuona na wako na malama, unaweza sema ni pombe na kunywanga na si pombe. Ni kuumia huyu mkubwa sasa mama mtoto. Sasa unaona nisipokuwa karibu naweza pata mambo ingine. So huyu mtoto naye mdogo hakai chini, na miezi imefika ya kukaa. Akakai chini mtoto kake. Hata pia nako unaona tuka na shake nini kichwa.
Ako weak,
ako weak sana.
Now, I don't want us to talk too much about this, fellow Kenyans. I'm just requesting that let us stand with this family. We find a way of standing with supporting this family. Your 50 bob, your 100 shillings, your 200 shillings will really be enough, because according to me, I think the best thing to do is to find a way on how we can take this child, this lady, back to the health center. At least aende akafanyiwe check up. every now and then, because she's supposed to be going for this checkup thrice a month because of that condition that she is in. You see, akiwa kwa hiyo condition, it's very difficult even to take care of the child. Na umesikia mamake anasema ya kwamba mamake haizi akatoka nje, kwa sababu akitoka kidogo hivi akirudi pengine huyu msichana ameanguka, kwa sababu nimekuambia kuna ugonjwa wa kuanguka, pengine ameanguka, na akianguka basi mambo inaweza karibika, hata anaweza kaua mtoto. So first things first, I think what we can do is let us just come together, we support this family, tuhakikisha kwamba huyu msichana ameenda hospitali na amepata matibabu yale ambayo amekuwa akiyapata kila mara 3 kwa mwezi. I did what I could because they didn't even have food. Nimewafanyia shopping kidogo pale kwa kile ambacho nilikuwa nacho. Nikawapa kile cash kidogo, alafu pia nikamnunulia dawa ambazo zinaweza zikamsustain for the time being. So I'm just requesting you guys that we come together, we support this the lady. At least kama tunaweza mkamsupport, hiyo health condition yake ndio imeniuma sana. And then nasikia kwamba mamake pia ana ugonjwa na ako positive, so it becomes stressful. Na pia umejua hiyo pressure pia inaweza panda. So kama tunaweza pata tu watu, mtu aseme kwamba mimi niko na 1000 hapa, acha nikutumie 1000, 2000, 5000, 10000, 500 tu, 100, 200, hata shilingi 50, najua itafanya kazi kubwa sana kuhakikisha kwamba huyu msichana pamoja na mtoto wake wako kwa hali nzuri. You know, the hand that giveth is the hand that receiveth. That is normally my norm. That is what I normally say, that ukipeana kwa roho ulio wazi, nawe pia utabarikiwa. We are not forcing. I know saizi mambo imekuwa ngumu, hali ni ngumu kwa kila mmoja, lakini tukija wote pamoja tuhakikishe kwamba tumesaidia hao watu. Pengine Maulana anaweza kasikia maombi. We never know where the blessing is going to come from. Just use the number of the screen and then I know that all is going to be well.
I'm just requesting you guys, let us come together, let us join hands to help the family of Leah Jerry Mudhoni. I'm planning to find a way of taking that girl back to the hospital for medical checkups and all that. The cost is around 70,000 to 80,000. And just requesting you guys, let us play. Your 100 shillings, your 50 bob, your 200 shillings, your 1,500 is really going to play a very big role in making sure that this lady gets back on her feet. I normally say that we don't help because you have money, or we don't help because somebody is a family member or from your tribe or something. You help because you have a heart of helping. So let us come together, whatever you can. I'm not forcing anybody, but whatever you have, if you can, let us help this lady. It's a very painful story. The mother is positive. You know, the child is 9 months old and cannot sit down. The child looks like 2 months because of malnutrition and all that. The mother is very sick and cannot even breastfeed the child. So it's a very complicated, a very painful story. Please let us just come together and help where we can. Now, I want you to listen to this conversation, and then after listening to it, you as a person will tell me what you think. Do you really think that this guys really made sense? Because for the first time, I really felt like, Jeff alikuwa na watu mature, watu wenye wana reason, people that can explain things as they are. To the matter of Rivayala and everything, I love the way Kibicho answered that. That Tangia, it's been 5 years now. Is there any family that has ever come out to explain or to say that their child or their children, their daughter, their son, got missing and was found in Rivayala? Kama hakuna, then this one is just one of the ways of doing politics in this country. Please listen to this, and then we meet in the next video, if it is possible.
Even if we talk about professionalism among security providers, the destination of security should also be more responsible. You have a situation where a president is permanent on the rooftop of a car, stopping in every other place. However good you are, you cannot rule out snipers.
Yes.
Because the president is in permanent campaign mode on top of our vehicle. It's a very old-fashioned style of leadership. I think it doesn't help very much, even his security detail, when he is so fond of doing a very, very monotonous Land Cruiser stops and addresses to people. You know, we've never had a president who was so obsessed with rooftop stops.
And don't forget,
campaign things. Those are not leadership things.
Don't forget, there was a time when someone threw a shoe at him. Remember?
Yeah. But he's making himself available for that. It could have been worse. Yeah. If a sniper a marksman tried to wait, they know where vehicles will stop, and he will shoot out of the roof and start insulting opposition. And it's a very easy time to get him. So apart from the performance of security officers, the president should be presidential. Stop walking around like he's campaigning all the time.
And someone is sleeping on the job, like the PS was saying, right? Someone is definitely sleeping on the job.
A security person is sleeping on the job, but the president is also sleeping on his job.
Leadership, Jeff.
It's not.
Leadership is about the ability to delegate and trust.
Like Kibaki did.
In fact, we have such experienced civil service, such experienced leaders of independent institutions, that all you need is to have the capacity within you to delegate. But you cannot have the capacity to delegate and trust if you have some complexes and if yourself you are insecure. You cannot have, because government is a big system, and if you centralize decision making, then the space at which development, at which decision, at which anything moves is based on the person's speed. And when it's that person, you can imagine the number of things required to be decided around government every day. They are in their thousands. The wife Kibicho. Jeff, I was the PS for State Department of Internal Security, and coordination of government. And I had my work cut out for me. This work, immigration, it was very good to put, and I am not trying to put my friend, because I also have knowledge, having been in the ministry, of what was happening. But this work, of course, the relevant PS was Dr. Kihalangwa. But it wouldn't be fashionable to say. It would be very nice to say Kibicho is the one dealing with Miguna. What had I to do with Miguna? I wasn't the PS for immigration. But it was very fashionable. But I also know for some reason that there was very, 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 very elaborate attempt to try to return Miguna to Kenya. If he is watching, and I saw the other day he's trying to say he'll sue me, Miguna knows that when the constitution was changed to allow for dual citizenship, he had already renounced his here to be Canadian. He knows that. He knows that every Kenyan who had done that and wanted to regain their citizenship did not need to do anything other than to fill a simple form. There were no because you cannot be denied, especially when the country allowed dual citizenship, you cannot be denied to be a citizen because you are born here. And I think that push and pull around, fill this paper, do this, is what caused him these problems. But to continue pushing Kibicho, there's a matter that was taken to court. It was dealt with and concluded. And if there was any wrongdoing, then what would we be apologizing to Miguna for?
Okay.
I hope he filled the forms, because if he didn't fill the form, he got his passport against the law. I hope, because I know he was given his passport immediately after he left.
Right.
I pray that he filled the form, because it's just one page. In fact, it had been filled for him. Sign here.
Karanja Kibisho, why did the River Yala happen under his watch?
I I was going to be very sad if I left the issue without that question. Very, very sad. Because I'll start from the answer. There is no government security officer who has an answer to this Rivayala thing. And you remember when my former boss was asked about this question and proposed a public inquest around it. Because, Jeff, sisi ni raia hapa na Mukisa. We are not government. And if there is any wrongdoing, it should be punished. But I want to ask you, Jeff, these are 5 years since this topic started. Do you know a person who has a sister, a relative, a cousin who was collected in Rivayala? A brother, a cousin, so that we know who is. Because sometimes I think we just deep dive into some very emotive things without questioning. How about if Rivayala was Shakahora? Because once you block and put your thinking and eyes on blinkers, then you will never allow yourself. But the basic question to ask, why is government refusing to put that public inquest? But most plainly is, how comes nobody claims my cousin, my brother, my mother, my father was collected in Rivayala? How comes? So it could be deeper thing than we understand. And the only way to solve this is to put a public inquest. That's the only legal way to do it. But the answer straight is that there is no government meeting I sat in, I know of, that said kill people and throw them in Rivayala. And if there is, we are not in government, then we should actually be jailed and charged in court.
The biggest crisis in this region right now is the outbreak of a new strain of Ebola in Kitui in eastern DRC. Kenya government, in the news today you were reading, is saying we are engaging with America talking about international activity. Nonsense. That's not the truth. The truth has been announced by Washington, that the US has gotten the Kenya government to open up CDC facilities in Nairobi for monitoring and observing Americans coming out of DRC.
Not Africans.
Not Africans, not Kenyans, not anybody else. But why are we offering Americans to fly people suspected to be in an area with Ebola to come to Kenya when they could make a quarantine area in DRC? What is the benefit to Kenya? Because, yes, master, Uncle Sam's children, what America wants, will smile in a false teeth and pretend that it is all right with Kenya. If Ruto listened to professional advice and this institutional capacity in this country, both in medical services and in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we will not be rushing to please America at the risk of importation of Ebola in Kenya. An Ebola question we should be asking ourselves today is this. A lot of the trailer traffic to DRC from Kenya is going through Busia and Malaba. But a lot of trailers from DRC and Uganda are coming to Kenya through Luakaka. Luakaka has a health inspection unit on the Ugandan side, but not on the Kenyan side. So we put up inspection facilities at the airport. There's no Ebola coming by air. But there is no inspection of people traveling to Kenya by truck through Luakaka on the Kenya-Uganda border. If you listen to professionals and we have institutional capacity existing, if we stopped listening to political cronies, we will not be doing that kind of thing.
But let's not forget, Daktari, during your time, your reign, those Armenian brothers, the Atur's brothers,
yes,
they came and they occupied this country in a way.
They did not occupy this country, but they played a criminal role with the support of a lot of people under the watch of Michuki. And I thought it's one of the most stupid things that was done in the time that I was the Minister of Government.
Yeah.
Because it was not revealed. I saw the Atur brothers. And remember, I went before a judicial inquiry, and presented my views of what I'd seen, what I'd experienced when I met them at the airport and the chaos that it brought, and what was going on. And I condemned it up to now. I think those who were working in cahoots with those terrorists abused and diminished the stature of the Kibaki government.
Next. Sheila Sweden says, what happened to Mukisa Kitui? Saw him a few weeks ago in Geneva. Is he trying to reapply for the UNCTAD job? If Ruto offered him a job in his government, would he accept the offer? If not, why?
The position of an Under-Secretary General of the United Nations is a 4-year mandate, renewable once. I served 8 years. There is no third term. That's not Uganda, where you can just apply for a job. And that job was elective. I was elected by the General Assembly for the maximum 2 terms. As of Ruto offering me a job, I was approached a number of times, but I laughed it off. I thought it was a silly joke. Ruto does not respect professionals in his government. That's why he drives out people like Ndungu, former CS Treasury, because he wants echoes. He wants, if you have gone to school enough, you must reduce the evidence of having gone to school and sound like Sudi. Then you are comfortable with him. There's something I want to say about this, about preparation for rigging. And this is very, very serious. I have been engaging top diplomats from friendly countries, together with a few other colleagues from the opposition, on very discomforting trends. You see, Ruto has fallen behind in opinion polls. Not accidentally. He's lost the mountain. He's not been able to do a popular grab of the Luo electorate like he had expected. He's not gaining traction in Ukambani. He has lost much of what he had gained within the Luo community. Where will he get the numbers to compensate for his major losses? In such a situation, a rational political player goes on a charm offensive. You want people to like you. You want to appear like you are assuring to everybody. Then he goes to Western Kenya, insults Eugene Wamalwa. He has no wife, he has no home, he's like renting wives. Primitive talk. You know, some of us, the first reaction we had, said, when we were hearing primitive Sudi talk in public like a little idiot, we thought that when he gets closer to Ruto will moderate him and starts talking a bit more sadly. But what we are saying is that Ruto is the one who started to talk like Sudi. So it's Sudi impacting Ruto more than Ruto impacting Sudi. And Eugene Wamalwa has a wife. Eugene Wamalwa has a very nice residence in Milimani in Kitale. He has a nice house on a farm in Kiminini. He has a nice residence in Spring Valley in Nairobi. So if you want to insult him, which I cannot understand why do you use lies to insult him? But what do you gain as a president who is struggling to regain support by insulting credible leaders in the communities where you are looking for support? Second, things that I do consult and share with leaders in the opposition, there are others that I think about as an individual, as a public intellectual. But if you ask me a question, what would you say to the current opposition? There are 2-3 things that I think are important. One, there's a momentous responsibility for the opposition to give hope to a country that is increasingly getting hopeless. Reassure Kenyans that there is a day peacefully post-Ruto's regime. And to do that requires a number of steps. One, move from the promise to actual concrete activity of integrating the opposition as a broad, united front for political action, but also for mobilizing ideas about how to redeem Kenya post the next election. Another thing that I will say to the opposition is have a more structured and broader engagement with Gen Zs. You can't say you are broad opposition with insufficient engagement with Gen Z. That, I think, is an important thing that we have to do. A third thing I will say to the opposition, to my friends and colleagues in the opposition, is let's not fall into Ruto's trap of answering ethnic bigotry with ethnic bigotry. We should be a reassuring force. And then finally, there is a major decline in the economic thinking in this country that has to be arrested. You see, under Kibaki, and Kibaki said this in a number of recorded statements, the essence of economic growth is creating possibility, creating access to credit and production capital for entrepreneurs to grow wealth and employment opportunity. Make them competitive. Reduce the state borrowing too much money and making credit very expensive for entrepreneurs. Since then, what we have seen, instead of seeing business as the drivers of growth, we have seen government as the driver of growth. So the model of economics is increase how much you collect from the people and then give them development. Now, this thinking is very ill-advised. Government is not what grows the economy. Government should protect, should create circumstances, should create instruments to make made in Kenya competitively priced, increase the yield, the competitiveness of Kenyan labor in order to return to the helm of productivity in this region and start expanding around the opportunities of Africa. Instead of saying we want to increase taxation on this, government needs more of this, we have to show a $4 trillion shilling budget because we want to bring development. And what development do they bring? Ill-advised architecture on affordable houses. You go to a village in Busia and you find these ugly high-rise things in a village, and people have no economic activity around that village. How will they come to live in affordable housing away from the fishing areas where they get their livelihoods? It's just because government had managed to collect tax from people, it had to do something that it can point at as development. We have to get the opposition to graduate beyond this negative, unfortunate mentality.
Okay, let me
unlock Kenyan potential again.
Okay, let me ask you this. This united opposition,
yes,
is it united? In other words, can they rally around one of these principles? Because they all want it.
I know. I have worked with people who all wanted and eventually united. I believe that there is growing public pressure that nobody should walk away from the table. There is insufficient development of the mechanics of keeping everybody at the table. And I think that going forward, the public declaration of commitment to being one team and everybody saying you should not be the one to be responsible for failure to keep the hope that Kenyans are having rising is going to discipline people to purposefully sacrifice personal ego and be ready to be part of a leadership and see one of themselves not as better than others.
Are they listening?
But primus.
Are they listening?
Some of the time.